Shalom, Yasharala, Shalom. First and foremost, we're going to give Kol Halal Yahweh, Bahasham, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. That is to say, all praise to Yahweh, in the name of the anointed Yahweh Shai, Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai being the name of the man that the world ignorantly calls Jesus. So today, we're going to be talking about the mighty forefather Abraham, and how he was a warrior. He was a warrior, man. A lot of people overlook this aspect of Abraham. These chapters in Genesis. Yeah, we know Abraham for being humble, for being obedient, for being faithful. Okay, but a lot of people don't realize Abraham was a warrior, man. The Most High wants warriors. Doesn't want soft men, choir boys. No. The Most High wants warriors, man. Abraham was not soft. Okay, this is Genesis chapter 13 for some context of what was going on. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. So Abram is obviously Abraham before the Most High changed his name. His wife is Sarah, who at this point is Sarai. And Lot is his nephew. Okay, Lot being the progenitor of the Ammonites and the Moabites, which is the Japanese and the Chinese respectively. Okay, and Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver and in gold. Do you know Abraham was a rich man? He had great substance, lots of servants. Do people know this? People overlook this. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. I used to. It says, and he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first, and there Abram called on the name of Yahweh. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Okay, he was also a rich man. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. Okay, they were too rich to be dwelling with each other, man. Okay, their substance was too great. There wasn't room. The land couldn't bear them both. There wasn't enough room to be planting, sowing and reaping for both. There wasn't enough place to keep both animals. There was contention between the servants. They were too great to live together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. Okay, it says, and Abram said unto Lot, Canaanites and Perizzites are Hamites. They're Hamites, right? And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of Yahweh, like the land of Egypt, as thou camest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Salakia. Microphone's on. Calm. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. Okay, so that's kind of near the Red Sea. On the east side of it. Not the Red Sea. The Dead Sea. It's kind of near the Dead Sea. Right, not the Red Sea, Salakia. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan. Oh, Salakia just read that. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahweh exceedingly. And Yahweh said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. Okay? So he's going to give it to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Right? But remember, Abraham didn't have any inheritance in the land, because it was by promise. But Abraham believed. He believed, man. But that's a separate topic. We're not going to focus on that. We're just getting some context right now. It says, and I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto Yahweh. So just giving the context of where Lot is. Lot has now gone to Sodom. Right, and Abram is dwelling in the land. But he had great substance, lots of servants, cattle, gold, silver. He was rich, and he had a lot of men too. A lot of men under him, a lot of servants. Right? So there's our context. This is chapter 14, the War of the Kings. It says, Salakia. It says, and it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, which is Babylon, the land where Babylon is, not the kingdom of Babylon. That's let me show you. Country of two rivers, the ancient name for the territory later known as Babylonia or Chaldea. Right. Arioch, king of Elasar. I can't remember what Elasar was. A town in Babylon, okay. Or okay. It's coming back now. God is chastener. Okay. Elasar. Okay. Chedorlaomer, king of Elam. Elam is all. This is all in the same sort of region. Elam is over by where Babylon is, the land of Elam. So this is an ancient Salakia. There's a cat outside and it's getting on my nerves, man. It's meowing. I don't know if you could hear it, but that was annoying. Okay, so Chedorlaomer is an ancient Elamite king, which is the East Indians today. So this is an ancient East Indian king. If you picture an East Indian man, that's kind of the territory of what this man would have looked like. Because this is the same people, right? And Tidal, king of nations. Now, I don't know much about Tidal. See if there's any information in here. Don't know much about him. Chief of various nomadic tribes and an ally of Chedorlaomer. Doesn't look to be much information. It's not too important, but it's definitely worth researching sometime. Anyway, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. Okay, so these kings and these locations are within the land of Canaan. Okay, the other kings, the previous ones, are a bit further northeast. Right, but Sodom is in the land of Canaan. Gomorrah is in the land of Canaan. Admah, city in the Siddim Valley, that's in the land of Canaan. Oh, Salakia, I went off of it. Okay. Zeboim, right? One of the 5 cities in the plain which included Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. a city at the southeast end of the Dead Sea, grew through Sodom and Gomorrah, as being one of the 5 cities slated for destruction by God, spared at Lot's plea as his place of refuge. Right, so these were in the land of Canaan by the Dead Sea. Right? But these previous kings in verse 1, they're from further northeast, towards where Babylonia is, if you know where that is. Okay, so all these were joined together in the Vale of Siddim. So that's the Vale just means the valley, which is the Salt Sea. And that's just another name for the Dead Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer. Okay, so they were subject to him. They were subject to the king of Elam. Okay, in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer. So this is a year after they rebelled. And the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims in Ashtaroth, Kernaim, and the Zuzims in Ham, and the Emims in Shaveh Kiriathim, and the Horites in their Mount Seir, unto El Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to En Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites. These Amalekites, I don't believe there's much information on them, especially not that I know of, but these are not the so-called Ishman today. This is not the same Amalekites. Those people haven't been born yet. This is Abraham, remember? We haven't even got to Jacob and Esau yet. Amalek is a son of Eliphaz, which is a son of Esau. Esau's not been born yet. Isaac's not been born yet. Okay, so this is not that same Amalekites. I don't really have any information, I don't believe, on these Amalekites. But these are different Amalekites, right? See, because here it just tells us. But it means people of lapping, so maybe it's something to do. Dweller in a valley. Okay. Not too sure on that one, but it's not really the focus. And also the Amorites that dwell in Hazezon Tamar. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela. The same is Zoar. And they joined battle with them in the Vale of Siddim, with Chedorlaomer the king of Elam, and with Tidal king of nations, and Amraphel king of Shinar, and Arioch king of Elasa. 4 kings with 5. Okay? And the Vale of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountain. Okay, so what's happened here is the king of Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and all the kings with him have gotten a victory, right? And in this victory, they did what a lot of people do, and they took spoil. And that says, and they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their victuals, and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. So they kidnapped Lot, and they stole. Bear in mind, remember, Lot was rich. So they stole all his stuff, man. And they took him too. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Anna, and these were confederate with Abram. Meaning these were allies of Abram. Abraham's allies, right? So okay. I'm not sure why it's getting into here. So when it's saying things like husband and these sorts of things, I think that's just going into they had agreement with. When you marry someone and she becomes someone becomes a woman's husband, it's because they have a contractual agreement. Obviously we know sex is marriage, but like how the Most High says he's married to us, it's because there's an agreement. So that's what I think that's going into. But nonetheless, they were confederate with him. They were allies. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house. Okay, so Abraham had trained servants, man. He had people who would learn in war. They would learn how to fight. You don't go to the army and get some military training. In these days, no. They were born in his house, and Abraham had to teach these people to fight. Abraham was a warrior, man. Okay. 318. That's how much soldiers he had with him, man. 318. And pursued them unto Dan. So they chased them a little while. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the woman also, and the people. Okay, so he recovered. He got the victory and recovered them. He was mighty over them. The men of the land couldn't defeat these people, but Abram and his 318 trained servants did. He was a mighty warrior, man. A mighty warrior. He brought all of Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the people back. Okay, now there's actually a video I wanted to show.
Genesis 14. In the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim. These kings made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. And all these joined forces in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they had served Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him came and defeated the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in Sheva Kiriathaim, and the Horites in their hill country of Seir as far as El Paran on the border of the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and defeated all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites, who were dwelling in Hazazon Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out, and they joined battle in the valley of Siddim with Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of bitumen pits, and as the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some fell into them, and the rest fled to the hill country. So the enemy took all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their provisions, and went their way. They also took Lot, the son of Abram's brother, who was dwelling in Sodom, and his possessions, and went their way. Then one who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living by the oaks of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and of Aner. These were allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his kinsman had been taken captive, he led forth his trained men, born in his house, 318 of them, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. And he divided his forces against them by night, he and his servants, and defeated them and pursued them to Hobah, north of Damascus. Then he brought back all the possessions, and also brought back his kinsman Lot with his possessions, and the women and the people. After his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom went out to meet him at the valley of Sheva, that is, the king's valley. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High, and he blessed him and said,
Blessed be Abram by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand.
And Abram gave him 1/10 of everything. And the king of Sodom said to Abram,
Give me the persons, but take the goods for yourself.
But Abram said to the king of Sodom,
I have lifted my hand to the Lord God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, that I would not take a thread or a sandal strap or anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich. I will take nothing but what the young men have eaten, and the share of the men who went with me. Let Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre take their share.
Okay, so I wanted to play that video to show you the visualization of what, Yasharala, we tend to be visual learners. Reading is good, but we have to picture things, and sometimes it helps to have a demonstration like that. But here's the thing with these kings. I just wanted to show the map of what it all looked like. Salakia for the reading and voice acting in that. Edomites are a bit weird, so they put on silly voices, and Salakia that the pictures weren't accurate, but that's the best we could do really right now. And yeah, Salakia the voice acting was a little bit strange, but you know how Esau gets down, man. He's got to be a bit weird sometimes, all the time really. But yeah, that's what that looked like. But he started talking about Melchizedek, right? Now the thing with Melchizedek, people don't know. That was Yahweh Shai, right? Oh yeah, that was Yahweh Shai. Right, we'll read on. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale. Okay, so the king of Sodom went out to meet him because he just defeated his enemies. It says, and Melchizedek, king of Salem. Salem is Jerusalem. Okay. Right, shalom, peace. Right? The Jewish commentators affirm that it is the same as Jerusalem. Right, so the king of peace. The king of peace, Melchizedek. Here we go. Isaiah 9:6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. Let me just go to the right. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the governor shall be upon his shoulders. Upon his shoulder, Salaki. The government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Right? These aren't names as in the actual name. Like his name is Yahweh Shai. When you look at that word Sham, okay, that word Sham, it means name, but it also means reputation. Okay, the name that you have. Are you known as wise? Are you reputed as knowledgeable? That can be a name. We know that Christ is the Prince of Peace. It says it right here. So he's the King of Peace, the Prince of Peace, the ruler of peace. Melchizedek was Christ, man. Is Yahweh Shai. Okay? Notice he brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. Now, let's just break this down slowly. He brought down bread and wine. The verbiage is important. It says, and as they were eating, Yahweh Shai took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Okay? Same thing we see in Mark. Okay? Same thing we see in Luke. Right? Same thing spoken about in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. So, why do you call it the blood? Not from the spiritual, but from the carnal, because it was wine. It was wine. That's why. Shadow of things to come, man. This is a whole breakdown in itself, to be honest. It says, and he was the priest of the Most High God. Now hold on a minute. The priest of the Most High God? Let's see what they say about Melchizedek. Right. So Sedek, my king, is justice, rightness, righteous. Right. So, it says, king of Salem and priest of the Most High God, to whom Abram paid tithe. After the battle he fought to free Lot. Okay, it's not saying nothing, but, hey, he's in the land of Canaan. He's in the land of Canaan, so was he a Canaanite? But priest of the Most High God? Would a Canaanite be the priest of the Most High God? Let's see. Genesis 15, sign at 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. This is talking about the Egyptian captivity, right? It says, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. Once again, that's the Egyptian captivity. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age, but in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So we had to go 400 years in Egypt whilst these Hamites got to the height of their sin. Let me get 2 Maccabees. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, potentially. Or maybe 4. I haven't brought this out in a minute. Yeah. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, starting at 12. It says, now I beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation. So when we get punished, it's not to destroy us, but to chasten us, to punish us, to correct us. Right? For it is a token of his great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. He's saying it's a token of the Most High's great goodness when he punishes us as soon as we go off, rather than letting us go on for a long time in wickedness. Right? For not as with other nations whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, so he waits patiently to punish them, till they become to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us. Lest that being come to the height of sin, afterwards he should take vengeance of us, and therefore he never withdraweth his mercy from us, And though he punish with adversity, yet doth he never forsake his people. So he waits till these other nations get to the height of their sin. That's why Esau's still going unpunished. He's not come to the fullness of his sin yet. Right? He's not come to the fullness of his sin. So that's why we was in Egypt for 400 years. There was a few reasons, but one of them was these Hamites had to come to the fullness of their sin so that he could destroy them by the hand of us. Right? By the hand of us, he would destroy them. They weren't at the fullness of their sin. Why did I go here? Because the Hamites, these Canaanites, were committing abominations at this time. Let me get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12. Right? Starting at the top. For thine incorruptible spirit is in all things. Therefore chasteneth thou them by little and little that offend, and warnest them by putting them in remembrance wherein they have offended, that leaving their wickedness they may believe on thee, O Lord. Right? Same thing where he's saying he punishes us little by little. Warnest them by putting them in remembrance wherein they've offended. Right? So we'll leave our wickedness. It says verse 3, Salakia, for it was thy will to destroy by the hand of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land. So by the hand of our fathers he destroyed the old inhabitants of his holy land. The Canaanites, whom thou hatest. See that? At this time, he hated them. Why? For doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh, and the feasts of blood, with their priests. See that? Their priests were not righteous. We'll come back. Melchizedek in verse 18 is the priest of the Most High God. Well, these Canaanite priests were doing child sacrifice, eating men's flesh, drinking blood. It says, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew. These priests were in idolatry. They weren't priests of the Most High God. And the parents that killed with their own hands, souls destitute of help, that the land which thou esteemest above all other might receive a worthy colony of God's children. Right? So you see that? You see that? So how is this random Canaanite going to be a priest of the Most High God when that's what the Canaanites were doing? It said that he hated the Canaanites and he's going to choose one to be the priest of the Most High God? No. This is Christ. Look at this. No, that's not what I want. I think it's further on in this chapter. Hold on. And he blessed him and said, blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. Okay, so I wonder if right, so a tithe is a 10th part. So Abraham offered. Why would he give tithes? Why would he give tithes to this man? Who was the offering? Christ. Right? It says, and the king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the persons and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lift up mine hand unto Yahweh, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich, save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Anna, Eshcol, and Mamre, let them take their portion. So he's saying they could take their bit. I only want what the young men have eaten, right? That's all I want paying back. I don't want you to give me this stuff and say you've made Abraham rich, right? But that's enough on that chapter. Here we go. Hebrews chapter 7. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace, without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continually. Right? Right? See that? He didn't have a father, he didn't have a mother. Because he materialized on the earth for this time. He materialized on the earth. Just like when he met Abraham again. Yeah. So, yeah. And Yahweh appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat down in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men, how many? 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. 2 angels and Yahweh Shai. That's what this is, right? Look. And said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Okay, so we're not going to read too much on this, right? But I want to get to verse 16. And the men rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. Okay, so they went towards Sodom. Verse chapter 19. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even. Okay, so now there's only 2. Whereas before there was 3. They turned towards Sodom, but only 2 of them went. Why? Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Christ's dealings is with the seed, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those other 2 angels went to go deal with Lot. Christ isn't sent unto other people. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. So Christ appeared with 2 angels to Abraham, but he wasn't going to go and appear to Lot, right? But anyway, the main focus of this was to talk about how Abraham was a mighty warrior, which a lot of people tend to forget or glance over. I couldn't didn't really want to go into too much more. I mean, there's not much else to do on it. Melchizedek is a big breakdown. I skimmed over it. If you go to Cold Cuts Resurrected, the brother Naquam of WFI, he did a good breakdown on who is Melchizedek. Definitely recommend watching that. But with that, I'm going to close out and say, Ka halal la Yahweh, Bahasham Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, Shalom.